Ronnie,
But
I go ahead.
yeah, yeah, you dropped out for a bit.
Ronnie, I wanted to say congratulations to you for getting to the level of working with feelings. And I put that in quotation, working with feelings, because that's the way that most Buddhists would describe it.
Working with
Basically, a better
feeling.
way of looking at it is to examine, to be in the capability of examining those feelings. And one of the ways that we want to examine them is with the breathing into them. That there is going to be stuff in the body, and many students aren't quite in touch with where their feelings are associated in the body. But wherever they are, they're generally within the area of breath. And so by taking a long, deep breath, we generally take care of everything. But as I was saying before we turned the video on, it really does have a quality of attitude about it that is so important in the sense of, um, for instance, breathing into bad feelings, knowing that you're breathing into bad feelings, but doing it with the hope that by breathing into the bad feelings someday will go away. All right, that's the loser's attitude. That's victim, and it's very common. So the change in attitude is a change in attitude of, oh, let's investigate this stuff. Let's find out what this is. Let's take a good close look. Let's beat it to death with the breath. Let's take some good long deep breaths and see if we can piddle with this stuff. All right. That's the different change in attitude. And that's so profound because it's part of the Eightfold Noble Path. But it's also kind of part of the wisdom part of the path. That the Buddha talks about the Eightfold Noble Path in the sense that right view comes first.
Mm.
Then we mix with right sati and right effort to bring about the second one, which would be right attitude. And this is the attitude of noble. That when your right view is correct, then the attitude is a noble view. The kind of view that we're on top of the game here. This is our field. We've already got court advantage. We even have the refs in our pocket.
Yeah, I understand that.
So why are we playing victim?
Because that's what we're used to. It's the only thing we know.
Mm-hmm. But when you do realize that actually all the factors are in your favor, that's almost like, yay! Now, one of the things that I see within Buddhism is kind of the way that the path is ranged out for uh, people. For instance, in Asia, most of the Asians don't practice meditation. In fact, many of them think it's too hard. They call it samadhi, and that's what they mean by what Westerners. Now, the thing that's really interesting is that within the West, and I've even heard of and seen this in print recently, that the idea that all of the Buddhist teachers or teachers of Buddhism are only teaching meditation, and that everything else they teach is only about meditation. All right. And so what we've now done is we set this system of, in Asia they practice for sila. Now sila has a lot of good advantages. In other words, if you can behave yourself well, then you've gotten most of your problems in life fixed. And the whole Thai society is arranged around each individual learning how to fit into their station in society. to where the whole Western mindset is, oh no, you've got to climb your way up to the top of the society and hang on there. And I mean literally hang on, because we found a new ladder called meditation. And now I'm going to climb this ladder of meditation. Well, in one of the frames of reference, it is then we're talking about sila, samadhi, and panya.
Panya.
Panya. Okay, panya is wisdom, or panya is actually understanding what's going on. And that's normally listed as third in the sequence. That in fact, there's many places where that's listed. In Sutta number 44, it's directly pointed out. And in Sutta number 24, it talks about purification of sila, then purification of mind, and then purification of view, which is precisely sila, samadhi, panya, purification of view. So, what this basically means is that there are two steps on the path that are not particularly noble, but they're certainly wholesome and beneficial. But the place to arrive, or at least the place to arrive in the sense of now you're in the right vicinity to get something done, sort of like finally you have arrived at the train station, and now you got to go through the stuff to go through to get on the train. But at least you've gotten to the station. That's what the sila and the samadhi are generally good for. But most in the West, they are only teaching about meditation and leaving off the important part, which is the actual wisdom. Okay. Now the wisdom would also be understood to be able to see directly. And so in seeing directly, there are actually 3 layers of doubt that are uncovered. And that these 3 layers of doubt can be looked at in different perspectives, but here they go. The first layer of doubt is our relationship, each individual human's relationship to the outside world, in the sense of what are my rules? What have I got to do? And what value am I going to get from getting those rules? Okay. What value I'm going to get, either good or bad value, but the return on the investment is what we normally see as self. It is the self that receives the good and bad value of past deeds, is the way that normally people look at it. All right. So if there really is no self, then we really don't have to pay much attention to those goods and bad things that coming from society. But if we get attached to them, then the way that we attach to them would be with a self. And so when we look at it from the return on investment, and the doubt has to be about my relationship with the world, the first thing that I begin to figure out is that, hey, I'm going to have to solve my own problems. The world is not going to fix me. There's no bargain that I can make. There is no job I can get, no degree I can get, no religion I can join that's going to save me from my own dirty mind. Only I can do that. And that's exactly what you're beginning to practice. You giggle because you know it for being true now. That was not a big shocker for you. It was a giggle moment. That you understand that you're the only one that can help you. So the next point then is that what about the other side of the relationship between, let's say, the giving and the taking? And that's the giving part. What do I owe society? Some people will say, oh, well, global warming. I owe society I got to go get into a parade with a sign. Or go out and do a lot of stuff, because the world is going to get globally warm, and if I don't do something about it, it's my fault.
All right.
Okay.
Contribute. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And instead of looking at it, oh well, what can I do personally about it? Like I could stop driving, stop wearing shoes, stop going, because almost all energy usage has to do with transportation, and then stop using air conditioning, stop using heating, and that takes care of almost all the rest of it. And voila, you've got an easy life. That may not be so easy to do in Northern Europe and with most of the ways that people live. But if you did live like that, then you would already be practicing what everyone would hope that would be global warming. But the point that I'm making is that it's not the global warming that leads to that kind of lifestyle. Nobody would take on that kind of lifestyle just because they're a global warming nut.
No,
In
probably
fact,
not.
because they're a global warming nut, they may wind up, in fact, spending more energy in their protesting than they would have if they did nothing at all. So here's what I'm working around to. I'm working around to this issue that is called Sila Bhatta Paramasa, or actually the second fetter, because we just about trounced that first fetter of what am I going to get out of the world? The answer is nothing. The second one was, what do I owe the world?
Probably nothing.
Probably nothing, exactly. In fact, what I do owe the world is the fact that in my heart, deep in my instinctual mind, I cling to rules down to the level of DNA. That there's just not just society, but there's nesting rules down to the animals. That if you don't behave yourself in the nest, you get kicked out of the nest, and now the night is really dangerous. And so that's how deep these nesting instincts come, that we've got to get along, but we're not getting along in the right way. The right way to get along is not by following the rules, but to be completely free from the rules so that you can figure out what the right thing to do in the moment. It's going to bring about the least amount of suffering in the moment, or the least amount of discomfort in general. So this is what we're getting at, is towards wisdom. And that the teaching of the Buddha is not precisely about Sila, because Sila was old when the Buddha was there. Being able to behave ourselves in public has always been there. You behave yourself, kid, or you're going to get whacked. That's just been the way that those rules have always been. Also, before the time of the Buddha, there was a whole lot of meditation going on. The Buddha practiced all the way through the fourth jhana and other things too. But that wasn't enough. That what he was looking for was this wisdom. And the wisdom really is all about is, since there is no me that is going to be able to gain real benefit by following the rules, and that practicing meditation only does skill development, but that the real issue is the wisdom. And the wisdom now is what you're applying to your meditation by investigation of those feelings, by using the real noble part of the Eightfold Noble Path, of being able to change your attitude to become a winner. This is the noble part of the path. Become a noble, you must see things through a noble's eyes, not through a loser's eyes. And losers all have to do with past and future. In other words, I feel bad because of something that happened in the past. Karma, right? That's the law of karma. You're now suffering the results of bad actions in the past. And that what you're doing now freaks them out. They're so afraid that everything they do wrong now is going to pay off badly into the future. So they wind up being very, very well behaved, but not very well feeling good inside. Makes them look like a saint on the outside, but they're in turmoil, in kind of a hell on the inside of their mind.
Yeah, they're depressed about the past and fearful about the future.
Precisely. And this is what happens with most people in religion. And it's also quite possible to happen within Buddhism. But when we take off that issue about I'm looking at my bad feelings now, because I hope someday that I'll come out of my bad feelings, rather than, oh no, let's look at them right now, because the only time I'll ever be able to come out of them is right now. Let's deep breathe into them. Let's note them well. Let's play with them. Let's take a marker and paint a smiley face on them.
But question.
Yes.
I guess it's something. Let's say some kind of trauma lying in the past, affecting, creating some emotions now. Like something happened that still triggers. Couldn't it be beneficial to you're telling not to look backwards, but if it's done right, couldn't it be like beneficial to I don't know how to explain it, to dig into the memory and kind of release as much as possible, with the goal of triggering as much as possible and letting it go?
I think we're looking at the quality of what we mean by skill development. And in the sense that if you can skillfully place yourself into a state of satisfaction and then skillfully see the bad feelings and skillfully breathe into them and skillfully play with them, then that skill that you're developing in doing that will then be there as a skill that's already in use that much. It's like a muscle being pumped up, so that it will be available for you in the future. And you know that this is what we mean by shraddha, or confidence, that, hey, I did it one time, I can do it again. I did it twice, now I can do it 3 times. Now I've done it 14 times and I've stopped counting, because I know it doesn't matter how many times I've done it, because I know that next time we can handle it. That's what we mean by shraddha. That's what we mean by real confidence. Some students have to start with faith in the beginning, especially when they're not getting anything out of their meditation. They continue with faith. But I would rather you immediately start taking that faith and building it right into confidence based upon solid evidence.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Yeah. That's why I say paint a smile on it. Take a marker and put a smiley face right on that bad feeling. I can handle this. I can breathe into it. And also congratulate yourself for knowing that you could see it. Then you can also do things like, oh, wow, the Buddha's teaching really is good stuff. I know that it's going to work for me.
I used to congratulate myself a lot more before, but I don't feel like I kind of need it anymore. I don't feel I lose anything by just being aware of, okay, now, yes, I can do this.
Yes, you
I didn't
can.
need to clap myself on the shoulder because I know I can.
Well, you can pat yourself on the back anyway. But that's part of the pleasure. That's part of the pleasure of the success, is to remind yourself that yes, we are successful at this.
But but who am I patting on the shoulder?
You're not patting anything on the shoulder. There's no shoulder really there. This is actually a concept, and
I
the
just
concept has to do with gladdening the mind. It's only a conceptual. It's the same thing as thinking about puppies.
yeah, as far as I can see it, clapping myself on the shoulder only creates the sense of doing something wrong, right, feeding this positive loop.
Yes.
I clap myself on the shoulder, I feel good about it, and so I'm more likely to do the same thing next time.
That's exactly what we're getting at. That is the confidence. That's the shraddha. That's the yes, I can. That's the self confidence. In fact, without taking take the word self out, because we're not talking about self in the fact of selfishness. We're talking about confidence, and the confidence grows that we're successful or success. You can
But
take all of the I's, we's, my's out of it because that's not really important. What's the reason that we do that is so that we can speak correct English, because English is set up like that.
But yes, I see the benefit. If there are some small measures of doubt, it will help. Giving
Yes.
myself a pat will help remove some of this doubt. Over time, it will disappear.
Right. So back to that doubt. We can say now that doubt has three layers. The first layer would be whose job is this, or who made this mess, or who's responsible? Or when I yell for help, who do I have in mind to yell to help to? This is that quality of doubt. All right. And that doubt is eradicated when we recognize nobody's there. Nobody's there that's going to help me fix my problems. I created them and I'm going to have to solve them myself. So that's the first layer of doubt. The second layer of doubt then is can I do this? Can I do this? That's the big one. And that one's the one that you're working with. Is can you do it? The answer is yes, you can. You keep practicing. Yes, you can. That's the shroud that's building up that's going to eradicate that doubt about the fact that you can actually do this. You're going to become successful. You can be happy. Anytime you want to, you can be happy.
That's a good measure of success in my estimate.
Yes, you can be happy anytime you want to. All you have to do is think about it, and you can bring that into mind. Take a deep breath. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. You know, that kind of attitude. Yeah, it's nice. And you can get yourself into that state 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds at most. And we can get that confidence built up. And so that doubt eradicates. And now the third kind of doubt is the kind of doubt that we work with by applying the Four Noble Truths to every kind of situation, especially looking at it. Oh, yeah, this is the third noble truth. This is what it's like to be free from suffering. That it's not the morning that's beautiful, it's the mind state.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is what we mean then by when we understand the teachings of the Buddha that have these kinds of points to them, especially that you're not going to get any value out of rebirth or the future or the past or whatever, that you've got to learn to do this in the moment right now. And that the Eightfold Noble Path, part of the Four Noble Truths, is in fact a noble truth, and that if I follow this path, it will lead to joy, success, happiness, and a good life. And I don't know of anybody else who has such a path as that. So that is where we come to is the third knowledge. The third knowledge is the eradication of doubt about what is and what is not the path. And that's something to be experimented with. Is this the right path for me? Can I save dukkha? Can I avoid it? Can I see my ignorance, etc., like that? So now we're going a little deeper into it in the sense of we have to start applying the Four Noble Truths, mostly in the beginning, kind of in the sitting time. But basically, it's there to be seen all the time, especially when you see dukkha ahead, 5 seconds, anger, 5 seconds ahead, that kind of thing. Or somebody walks into the room and you say, okay, I got to check this out. How am I feeling? Maybe an old enemy.
It's a skill.
So it's a skill to be developed, and it's all based upon sati. Can I remember to see that, in fact, ultimately, satipanya is one of the words to use. What is that? To remember to be wise, to remember to have this panya, to do it through state of wisdom, the faculty of wisdom, the power of wisdom. And that wisdom is an investigative wisdom, which doesn't draw many conclusions. In fact, that's one of the qualities of the noble right view, is to come out of all of our ordinary right views. Stop believing things because we were told. Just kind of don't believe in anything.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a monk in North Carolina, and I would have to work with Christians and things and whatnot, and they would say, well, what do you believe? And my answer was, I don't believe in belief. I believe in investigation.
That's my kind of view.
Yeah, so let's investigate that stuff rather than believing in something. And that's, in fact, one of the most important qualities that then brings someone out of the ordinary state into the noble state. And that is to stop believing things that you've been told. It doesn't mean that you have to go investigate it. You can leave it open, unknown. We don't know. We don't know a lot of stuff. But generally, we don't like it when we don't know how to feel about things. That's the state of confusion. But if we understand that, oh no, confusion doesn't have to be a bad state, it could be a happy state. In the sense of, I don't know, but then I don't care. It's not that I don't know and I need to know. It's I don't know and I don't care. Or another way of saying it, mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter.
Yeah, that's I've heard that.
Okay, well, in this case, even if I don't know, I don't mind, and therefore it don't matter.
Yeah, I see. It's a mindset.
Exactly so. That mindset that we're talking about is the way that the Buddha would talk about it, would be right noble attitude or right noble mindset. To have a mind that's above it all, pure. The word supramundane comes from the Pali word lokuttara, and it means to be above the world. to be above the world. Not miles above the world, just riding on top of it. Sort of like sitting on its back, like you'd ride a horse. And so above the world like that. Another way of talking about it is that everybody is an emperor of their own pile of dirt. Most people are half buried in it, and the other part are completely buried in it. And not very many people are completely on top of it, on top of the world, their own pile of dirt. And so that's the right attitude. Because there's all metaphor, you see. There's no real pile of dirt. There's no real world. But there is a real noble attitude that is above the world, rather than the feeling of being stuck in it. We're above it.
I think I get it.
Great, because that's exactly the way that to take the right attitude of that towards those feelings. That you're above the feelings. You are not the feelings. But you see, before, those feelings were the boss. When people feel bad, they behave according to those bad feelings. The bad feelings become the boss. Now, basically what that means is that those feelings are coming out of the reptilian brain, and so the human that is having those feelings is operating out of the reptilian brain, or what Freud would call out of the id, and that that Freudian state then is in control. And so people go around doing things according to their bad feelings. But if that reptilian brain is not the one in control, in other words, if we can fire up that big processor that we have right up here, fire it up with some breathing, get it going, let it take in charge, then we can say, wait a minute, bad feelings. You are not going to run the place anymore. I'm not going to run around like a lizard brain. I'm going to run around like a completely human being. In fact, I'm going to stop running around altogether. And so this is the whole practice in a nutshell, leaving out a whole lot of Pali words, I know. But the point is that it's majorly a change in attitude. A change of attitude is I can do it, based upon the breath, based upon the feeling of satisfaction and success. And getting into that state of success with a big smile. Oh, this is nice. I know how to do this now. And then just stay there. That's the best thing, is to stay in that joyful place, which means don't let thoughts come in that are going to pull us out. Or in your case, we're not going to let bad feelings pull us out of that state. We're going to say, I see you, bad feeling, but I'm not going to go do what you want me to do. I'm going to breathe deeply into you instead. I'm going to piddle with you.
It still happens from time to time, quite often, but I know I can. Just given time, I will make it.
All right. Well, now that you know that you can, and that you've got the procedure down, now all you have to do is recognize that, all we need to do is bring in sati. That if I can remember, then I can come out of this state into a joyful state. So now the next point is now you're going to start to become determined that I'm going to be able to bring sati on whenever I need it. And I start playing games with myself. Like, am I mindful right now? Check it out. Start looking and start investigating to see, am I maintaining mindfulness throughout the day? start getting to the point that you're more and more awake and aware and in a state of investigation as much of the time as you can. That this is not time for sitting on the floor in the meditation hall. This is the time to bring it right out there where we need it. And so there's a few things that we can do that is going to help bring that sati up. But the important thing is that once we bring that sati up, we're going to go right through the whole procedure that's going to bring us to a state of a little nibbana. So, the way to get started on this, I don't know if I've even talked to you about this before. If I have, then we'll just call this a review. But one of the things that I've noticed is that in the West, people get up and down out of a chair very often throughout the day, like 20, 30 times a day. And so every time you get up out of the chair, that would be a good time for mindfulness. And every time you sit down in the chair, that would be a good time for mindfulness. And so if you're in and out of a chair 40 times a day, that means 80 little nibbana moments, 80 little wake-up calls, and that will help going towards it, doing all the time, especially if you have that strong determination that I'm going to do this. This is really good stuff, and I really like it. Okay, so with that kind of attitude, then, whenever you get out of a chair, instead of getting out of it walking, because that's how most people get out of a chair, is because they're going to go someplace. They have intention. We're going to break that up. Now, it may take you a week or so to get used to doing this, but with strong determination, you'll start to remember that every time you get out of a chair, you're not going to get out of it walking. You're going to get out of it and stand for just a second and then start walking as a little mindfulness exercise that you might do 30 or 40 times a day.
Yeah, you taught me it once before. It worked.
I know.
Yeah, I managed to do it well for a while, but
you forgot. Let's get back into it.
Yes.
This time we're going to do it with that right noble attitude, that can do.
It was a good exercise. It worked very well, so I think now is a good time to actually do it right.
Excellent, excellent. Because every time that you do one of these little exercises throughout the day, the more sati you will build up throughout the day. Many meditation students think that, oh, well, I'm building up enough sati sitting 1 hour a day, but no, we need it throughout the day, all day long, not just in the meditation hall.
If I meditate 1 hour a day, that's 4%.
Exactly.
That's 1 hour to actually learn and 23 hours to forget how to do.
Or 23 hours to practice intermittently, so as to build up the skill. Not only that, but the little exercise that we're going to do during that 1 second of standing up is to check intention. Now, I use the word intention here. I know that some translators will actually use intention in the Eightfold Noble Path with the word that I use as attitude, because I'm looking at the word intention in the sense of I want something. I'm intending to do something because I want it. Okay, so the question then when you get out of the chair is, why are you getting out of the chair? The chair is a marvelous, handy place to sit and do nothing. It's a wonderful place to just be here. Why am I getting up? I've got to have a pretty good reason to get up. And so now you're going to examine that, to stand and say, why am I getting up? Because basically what that means is we're beginning to examine feelings. So
Yeah,
why am I
that's
getting up? That's the intention. Let's start looking at what do I want? What do I want to get rid of? What am I confused about? In short, why am I getting out of the chair? And some students say, gosh, it took me a week before I could figure out that I could start doing that I kept forgetting and forgetting, but they get into it. And in fact, because it is hard, that in fact right there proves its value.
yeah, that's a good point.
Because it's hard, that proves its value. Now, sitting down in the chair has a different kind of value. And the different kind of value is that we're actually going to be practicing a much deeper level of anapanasati when we sit down. When we sit down, we're going to go through all of the stages that we're going to use the sitting down as a tool to remember for sati. Just like standing up is a sati, but that sati is that why am I leaving? With the sitting down, we're going to use that wake up moment, that sati, to go into gladdening the mind, feeling joy, feeling like a winner, feeling like a success, taking a deep, happy in and out breath, and experience a moment of nibbana. And I would define right now the moment of nibbana would be experiencing the third noble truth. What's it like to be free from suffering? And in fact, the word suffering is not even the right word because when we use the word suffering, we think of something big. What we're talking about is dissatisfaction. And so the point is can you not magical, not airy fairy, not way out yonder, but right down home, practical, ordinary, can you take a moment to be completely satisfied? In the sense that there's not anything you're dissatisfied about. You can actually be satisfied.
Yeah, this satisfaction is very subtle, but it's so powerful. It's just as powerful as I make it.
As what?
Yeah, it's no more powerful than I myself make it. If I give it power, it is powerful.
Okay.
And that's
So that's part of right effort.
I think that's the default state of mind for most people that are dissatisfied with something. So something is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So there's power to do something else to
Become satisfied. That, in fact, is what the teachings of the Buddha are all about, is coming out of a state of dissatisfaction into a state of satisfaction. Because if you're satisfied, wow, aren't things wonderful? I don't have to shoplift. I can afford what I want to buy. I don't have to lie. I don't have to hide anything. No devious behavior, nothing, just enjoy life. That's for coming from that noble winner's attitude, that station of success.
I think this exercise of caution is the right moment.
Okay. Well, let's get back into that practice of every time you sit down, you bring yourself into a state of satisfaction. 1, 2 breaths. Doesn't matter what you sit down to do, don't do it. Enjoy yourself for a moment or two, or a minute or two, and then start doing it.
Yes.
Yeah, give yourself little happy moments, little happy breaks all day long. Every time you sit down, take a load off. Oh, this is so nice. And get into that habit of feeling like everything is wonderful, because it is. If you make it so, up to you. Or you could do it the way that you're in the habit of doing it, the old karma, the old cycle of bringing up old bad feelings and then feeling those kind of feelings now, rather
Yeah,
than
but
choosing to have new feelings.
if done right, that could be okay too.
Yeah.
Actually, anything done right is good.
All right. Well, I think that we finished enough. Let's get this practice going again. Because we've covered what to do about the bad feelings that you're beginning to notice. Because you'll begin to notice those throughout the day also.
Yeah, I have already.
But you will not. They will not have the power over you that they have when you don't see them.
Yes, that's exactly what I've figured out.
Ninjas are dangerous when you don't see them coming.
Yeah, it's like most people seem say no, I feel good, but
No,
they're clearly suffering because they don't feel anything, so they assume everything is fine. But that's just because they don't see clearly enough or see that the right place. Like myself, I suddenly saw things I have never seen before. That is here all the time.
that's what happens in the practice. That's one of the things that people are most amazed about is, darn, I figured out something the teacher said weeks ago. Only I don't remember the teacher said it. Now I see it. And that's the point.
Yes, but yes, I have a good practice plan now. Continue my uh, gladdening my feelings with the breath, and also
Excellent.
this remembering practice. And now I will do it right.
Great. Enjoy.
Yes.
Great cackles of laughter may you have.
Nice to see you. See you next time.
Okay, see you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.